What a lovely meadow. Oh my gosh, is that going to break? No, it actually feels like it's going to break. I'm tired. This is all I can muster up the energy to do, and it's going to have to be good enough. If you're listening to this on Christmas Day, I hope you're surrounded by love, good food, lots of laughs, and minimal family drama. What am I doing with my feet? Why does this feel awkward? Like, be honest, can you see my undies? But if you find yourself in the bathroom with a glass of something, or maybe you're thinking about making your way to hide somewhere in the house, this one's for you. Oh my gosh, the wind, you guys? Is this necessary? I'm currently sat in front of a woodshed on a farm in Tasmania, and I can't help but think there's a small family of spiders behind me. However, it's so windy, this is the only place I can find on the farm where I don't think the sound quality will be that affected. So pray for me. No, literally pray for me, because like, what if they're big hairy ones? They probably are. It's Australia. To be honest, spiders are less scary to me than butterflies. And a big one came for me before. It felt like a personal attack. Anyway, I am quite literally tired. Like, I slept for 10 hours the other night and it was chef's kiss. It was beautiful. But I'm also like emotionally tired, spiritually tired, physically tired of figuring it out, of doing, of thinking. I'm just so tired. And I don't say this to be dramatic or defeatist, but like, I say a lot to be dramatic, but I say it to express that burnout, because I feel like a lot of us feel this way. Burnout is so real. And even though I don't like to throw that word around too often because I feel like it's a little overused, I've reached a point where it's the only word that fits. And lately, I feel like I'm trying to dig into my brain for ideas or motivation or energy to check something off my to-do list. And it's like I've walked into an empty room in my brain and nothing is there. Literally nothing. My brain is out of office. A few months ago, I wrote a note that said, I'm really over the narratives I've given myself. And I looked at it last night when I was cleansing through notes on my phone, and I was like, this is the feeling of mental weight. This is where it comes from, which then leads into this general fatigue or deep exhaustion, because I'm really bored of those narratives. I'm over them. But then how do I shake them? Because they feel so ingrained in me now. Like these stories I've been telling myself about who I am and where I should be and what I should be doing. And I know we don't like shoulds and coulds, but I can't help it. I feel like I want my legs propped up more. It's not. Can I get a bit of wood? Oh my god. I'm scared to get a bit of wood. What if there's a spider underneath? Ah! Okay. Just kidding. There's nothing there. Nobody come for me. I need a footrest. That's better. I feel like I can. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's way better. So like, for example, these are some of the narratives that I think I'm telling myself. 1, I'm in a financial position that I'm not proud of because of decisions I made in 2021, and I'm still paying the price for them. This is why I have my laptop here. I need notes. I've written stuff down because there's no chance of me pulling this out of my brain right now. That sense of like lingering consequences of past choices, that's a strong one for me. Every time I check my bank or think about my financial goals or like lifestyle wise, what I want to be doing next year, I feel like I'm still stuck trying to like dig myself out of a situation. And that is so exhausting. And I probably am being a bit harsh on myself there, but that is definitely a story I've built for myself, that it's because of 2021 that I am like paying the price for all of that. Another one, I have to work so hard to maintain where I'm at in my health and fitness journey. And there was a period this year where I was going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. I was eating very balanced, nutritious food. And I just felt like I was on this steady trajectory. And it was really irritating me because I was like, like, what can I do next? I don't get where I can go next. What I did do before I left Manchester and arrived at this farm in Tasmania was go for an overall body scan, which was really interesting for me because it gave me the composition of my body, like muscle versus fat, water, minerals, biological age, all of that stuff, which I found really interesting. And that's definitely something next year that I want to focus on. I want to pick out certain aspects of that to focus on rather than size, weight, even how I look sometimes, you know? I want to get a bit more scientific about it. Anyway, that's another one. Third one. I've done okay for myself with my career, all things considered. This one's tricky because while I'm over here saying like, oh, yeah, I've done okay, people around me, like friends and family, are like, fucking hell, like, Megan, it's incredible what you've achieved in such a short amount of time, starting from scratch on the other side of the world, la, 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 la. And I don't know if it's an issue of expectation not meeting reality, and I just had really unrealistic expectations in 2019 setting out on this new career path, or if it's just not fulfilling. And that is definitely something I need to explore. And I think that circles back to episode 1 where I was like, I need to get really crystal fucking clear about what I want, because I always talk about myself like that. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. No, like I am living off something that I love doing. And that was goal 1, to live off of it, you know, to do it full time. Anyway, that's another narrative. Then the smaller ones that pile up. I'm shocking at communication. Like I actually tell myself that all the time. And I start to question, like, is it actually true? Or do I just put too much pressure on being this person that I think I should be in relationships? And it is actually unrealistic considering everything else on the plate. Number 2, I'm so behind on my to-do list. I'm playing catch up all the time. Like behind compared to what? What am I catching up to? Who made that rule? Do you know what? One thing I love to say to myself whenever I'm stuck, big decisions, small decisions, is what does the rule book say? Literally, oh my gosh, there are the butterflies. Stay far away from me. If you're faced with a decision and you say to yourself, what does the rule book say? The following question is usually, what rule book? Exactly. Oh my gosh, there's a third butterfly. Give me strength. I am surrounded. There literally is no rule book to life, and I find that so freeing. And then lastly, the classic, when I get to XYZ spot, magical point in the future, I can really start grinding. That idea of shifting the goalposts all the time on yourself. And spoiler alert, I've been saying that for years. And I don't wholeheartedly believe that. I do try and be present, but I also have this sense of wanting to get to this next stage all the time, and that is exhausting too. So all of these stories tire me out. They don't motivate me. They weigh me down. And I think that's why I feel this fatigue so deeply right now. It's not just like the physical hustle or the mental load of tasks. It's that emotional weight of constantly feeling like I'm falling short of these narratives I've created for myself. So here I am, Christmas Day, sitting on a farm in Tasmania, asking myself, what would it feel like to let go of these stories that I keep telling myself? What if I stopped telling myself I'm behind or not doing enough and started looking at what I have done and what I am doing? And immediately something pings up in my brain where I'm like, no, you're being too soft on yourself. And that is so toxic. But, you know, like I don't want to be too soft, but I also don't want to be too like harsh on myself. And it's finding that balance that I think I kind of struggle with. So being the little curious cat that I am, I looked into what this is, because the thing is like, it makes me feel a bit stuck, I think. Like if I imagine a world where I'm not telling myself these things, I probably would feel a bit liberated. I probably would feel a bit freer. Turns out the stories we tell ourselves actually shape the way our brain works. It's called cognitive framing. Basically, the way we perceive our lives influences how we respond to challenges. So if I'm always telling myself I'm behind or I need to work harder just to stay afloat, my brain takes that as truth. It doesn't challenge it, it just reinforces it. Now, when I read things like this, I kind of struggle to make them like tangible to me, because when I hear or read it, I'm like, oh yeah, duh, of course this happens. Like I think at this point in our lives, we've kind of put 2 and 2 together and figured this stuff out. I don't think this is new news. Of course, what you hear over and over will influence your mindset. And I also struggle with the affirmation stuff. Like, I'm not going to stand in the mirror and say I'm a radiant queen. It's just not suited to me. I just don't believe it. That's the puzzle piece that I can't get to fit in, the believing it part. And I feel like that's like literally the key part. The only time it has worked for me is when I was losing weight and I did some body positivity ones, saying that I loved my belly, because that was like a real hang up for me. I'd never worn a bikini until my mid 20s. But in the beginning, I found them so cringe. Like, I found it so awkward. I had to do it so many times before I was like, yeah, I do love my belly. So I find it hard to practice them daily. And I tried this year as well with money ones. And it's that believing it part that I just can't get. But overall, I subscribe to the idea of affirmations working. Like, I do believe in them. It's just finding ones that I believe in for myself. Like, when I see other people doing them or hear them talking about them, I'm like, yes, go. I love that for you. But then when it comes to coming up for ones for me, I struggle. You know what I mean? Anyway, so studies on affirmations and self-talk show that even small shifts in the way we frame our thoughts can actually rewire how we see ourselves. Self-affirmation can lead to physical changes in the brain regions associated with self-processing, ultimately impacting individuals' views of themselves. Plus, research indicates that positive self-talk can improve performance by up to 11%. I do get that bit because it's like the momentum thing, right? Like, once you get in that zone, you start to feel like it's like a little sprinkling of feeling invincible. Like, it's the momentum of accomplishments, and then reinforcing it with positive self-talk, and then you didn't, and you get that armor on, in a sense. So then I look at something like that and think, okay, maybe committing to talking to myself is worth it, because it will filter into other areas of my life without feeling like I've got mountains to climb in each area of my life. Like, if I just start implementing that, it'll probably show up in other areas. So maybe it's time to start calling out these unhelpful stories, what I keep telling myself of who I am and what I've achieved and what I do, because they are outdated and untrue and unnecessary. But it's just that believing piece. So I've tried to reframe the ones that I mentioned before. So instead of I'm in a financial position I'm not proud of, I could reframe it as I'm actively working towards financial stability and I've learned a lot from my past decisions, which is true. I wouldn't have learned what I have in the last few years without going through that experience. When I talk about this stuff, I actually feel like it's so black and white that I'm like, yeah, of course, and kind of shaft it to the side. But sometimes you do have to lay things out at a very black and white level, even though you know it, to remind yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course I know that I wouldn't learn that without going through it, but it's just saying it again to be like, yeah, true, that's fair. Instead of, oh, the wind is, don't fall over, guy. Oh, my jumper just fell off the table. Hopefully you don't fall off. I mean, we've not got much longer, so just hold on tight. Instead, you guys, this was my protected area. Oh my gosh, I hope the spiders are okay. Instead of I have to work so hard to maintain my health, maybe it's I've committed to taking care of myself and I'm proud of that effort. And instead of I'm playing catch up, how about I'm exactly where I need to be right now? So yes, I'm sure this helps with my neural pathways. Ooh, bumblebee. Darling, are you all right? Where are you going? One life only. Have you ever seen a bumblebee walking through the grass? I don't think I have. Wildlife. So, yes, I'm sure this creates new neural pathways. I'm sure it helps me. I've just got to figure out where the believable part comes from for me. Like, I couldn't say, I'm so proud of my finances, because that's not true, not believable, and I just don't buy into that. But I am proud of my resilience. I'm proud of having my own back. I'm proud of problem solving and the way I'm able to get myself out of bad situations and into new ones. And I'm proud of my general knowledge surrounding my career. Huh. This is wild. I just think that around this time of year, we can start getting very pressure cookery about letting go of this year, thanking it for the experiences and the lessons and what do you want to achieve next year, la, 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 la. And it all gets a little bit crazy. And then you feel like you have to have it all figured out by January 2nd and you're on your pathway with a new plan and agenda for the year. I don't get along with that idea. It's too much. I'm just so tired, and I think I'm giving myself extra fatigue by carrying around these stories I tell myself. And I think that's like the main thing I want to shift next year. I don't want to set myself a whole list of resolutions apart from building a fat ass, because it's just, I don't think it's effective for me. I think what would be useful to me is shifting that inner dialogue, monologue, don't worry, I don't have too many voices in my head. Just the things I tell myself, and start shifting that focus to be a bit more proud. Part of that is, I think, the culture I grew up in. Like, you don't want to brag too much about yourself. Like, it's kind of like be humble, sit down kind of vibe, which is good to a degree. But then I think I undersell myself. I don't communicate my abilities or how quietly confident I am because of that, because I don't want to come off as bragging or overly confident. Is that where I'm going wrong, you guys? I think there's maybe an aspect there of letting go of that fear that me talking about myself in that way internally to the other voices in my head now would lead to me being cocky or conceited or arrogant. I don't think it would lead to that. I think it's just self-confidence and releasing myself. I want to release myself of all of this weight and all these stories I tell myself. I feel like I've said stories so many times in this, and it's probably so annoying. I'm going to have to edit this down so much. Anyway, where are you for Christmas? Are you on a farm? Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Like, do you think this is the key to bigger picture stuff? Without getting all like lofty goals, heavy, and like, oh my gosh, what does 2025 mean to me? Like, is this a simple mindset shift away from negative narratives about self more effective than being goal oriented? The fat ass is going to stay though. I want a peach, man. This time next year, I want a dump truck. Yeah, so that's that. This is my first video episode, so wish me luck. Merry Christmas. That's all I really have the power to communicate right now. I hope that was good enough for you. No, you know what? It was good enough. See you in 2025.